Welcome to Single Mom on a Farm. I'm so glad you're here wanting to know my pregnancy advice. I love helping women, especially those who are pregnant or new mothers. So I'm assuming that if you're watching this that you are pregnant, so congratulations. That is really exciting. My first advice is to just enjoy this time. It's so glorious. I know there's the morning sickness, there's heartburn, restless legs, you're irritable all the time, crying, can't sleep, can't eat much. So you're thinking, what's so glorious about that? But I hope somewhere you feel a special spirit that you are to become a mother soon or a mother again. I hope you know that God has chosen you to be a mom, to send his children to you, that he trusts you to raise them, hopefully to glorify him, to hopefully bless the world, to become a good, contribution to society, that someone that everyone is glad to meet, and your children will make the world a better place by being in it. Whatever they choose to do, just by smiling and making the world a better place. Anyway, I hope you feel really special, because I felt that way whenever I found out I was pregnant. I just felt a little bit closer to God, a little bit closer to myself, I think, thinking about myself and my body and having to take care of it. Knowing that there's a life inside of me and that I'm creating something. So it's incredible, and it's a little miracle. I'm really excited for you. My best pregnancy advice is probably to go with your gut. So what I mean by this is that whatever your instincts are, to follow that over what anyone else tells you to do. So there's going to be lots of meaningful people. They're going to tell you all kinds of things, and listen to them, but you don't always have to follow them if you don't feel like you should. Sometimes there's instances where you're like, oh, I need this advice. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted. And it'll touch you. And you're like, that was it. Thank you for that answer. And other times people tell you stuff and you're just like, it doesn't really make sense to me. It might work for them, but I don't think it'll work for me. So you have my permission to do that, to just take your own advice and follow your own gut and your own instincts. And hopefully you're praying, if you're a Christian person, that you do want to pray for God's help also, because he'll direct you with what you need to do. A few examples that I can share with you is that sometimes I'd have doctors be saying, you need to come in like every 2 weeks, and I would have all these other little kids. I think this was my number 5, and so I had 4 little kids who were, how old were they? 6 and under. Yeah, Kylie was still 6, and so I was just like, I don't want to keep finding babysitters or bring them all along or whatever. And they're like, okay, if you feel good about it, that's fine. You don't have to come every 2 weeks or every week at the very end, So she was listen to me, and I was like, I know my body. I know if there's something wrong, I would definitely call you or come in, and that was okay. So that's just like a little instance, I feel like I didn't have to go in to the doctor all the time or as much as they suggested. I've never gained as much weight as they suggest. I feel like I knew my body, and when it was full, it's full, and when there are foods that don't agree with me, they don't, like a lot of spicy foods or high fat foods would give me heartburn, or, just make you feel bloated and yucky. So I just ate small meals, sometimes sort of bland meals, just like toast, some whole grain toast, just real foods. Some apples with some nuts are good. Anyway, and so my body was perfectly fine. In one instance, there was, with my 9th baby, then the last trimester, I lost 7 pounds because I had just been sick. We've been traveling. I'd been traveling with 8 kids by myself, like they're ages 1 to 14. I had gotten heartburn. I'd had heartburn really bad. It was really hard to eat. I just felt nauseous a lot. I had restless legs. I couldn't stay still. I had to be moving all the time. I couldn't sleep good. Anyway, and the doctor was just like, oh my goodness, that this is really bad. Your baby has intrauterine growth restriction. It's going to be really small. We're going to have to do these things. And kind of was worried. And I felt like I prayed about it, and I was like, I just don't feel that there's anything to worry about. I felt very peaceful. And one of my first thoughts was like, you're not that lucky. I was like, you're not that lucky to have a small baby, because I had all big babies. And I thought it'd be really fun to have a small baby. But no, he was 8 pounds, 10 ounces. So he didn't have any problems at all. But I felt that I didn't have to worry, and that if she wanted to do all these extra tests, and I was like, I feel like it's going to be okay. You can do an ultrasound or something, maybe not so risky, but I felt like he was going to be fine. It was mostly my health that was struggling. I think I was also anemic. It was just a hard pregnancy for me. and a lot of stress going on in my family also. But I could feel that the baby was going to be fine, and the baby was perfectly fine. And afterward, I felt good too. It was a great delivery, and there was no worry about it. Another time that was a little bit more scarier, and was when I had a baby that was breech, and it was like maybe about 10 days before she was due. And so the doctor's like, "This is a baby's breech. We got to do a C-section tomorrow," and kind of panicked. She's like, "You have really fast baby deliveries, and so we got to get this baby out before you go into labor by yourself." And I was like, calm down. I was like, I need some time to think about it. It was a Wednesday. She wanted the C-section on Thursday. I wanted the whole weekend to think about it, pray about it. I don't like to rush into decisions like that when I didn't feel good about it, if there wasn't an emergency. And I kind of wanted God to do a miracle for me. I was like, there's got to be a better way than the C-section. I know C-sections are perfectly fine, and I would have an emergency, but in this case, I just didn't feel good about it. So, we prayed about it all weekend. I had all my family pray for me. I've told this story before in a few other videos, but if you're new here, I'll just tell a shorter one. We just prayed. I stood on my head, on the stairs upside down, trying to get the baby to flip. I was trying to eat foods that make the baby flip. I did everything I could. And Monday I went back to the doctor, and she was still breech. So the doctor's like, I've been researching it all weekend. The only thing I could think of is to do a turn, get the baby to turn, called a version. And she said we can do that tomorrow morning at 6. And then if it doesn't work, I'll just do the C-section right away. And if it does work, I'll induce you to get the baby out right away. And I didn't feel good about that either, but I called friends who had C-sections and they're, perfectly fine, no complications. They reassured me that was going to be okay. I called friends with the version and that was going to be okay. But I still didn't feel good about either of them. It was just so hard. But I would run out of time. That was the most time I could get my doctor to let me have. And so I just prayed. I went to bed praying and scared to death. That whole weekend I was just scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. I felt this piece is going to be okay, but I couldn't see the outcome. I wasn't going to have a breech baby. I wasn't going to have a turn. I didn't want to be induced. I didn't want a C-section. All of it just sounded so scary when I'd had already, this is baby number 7. So I'd already had 6 really easy natural births, super easy. But I did have one stillborn baby at 28 weeks. And so it was the same days that this was going on. February 3rd is when she had died. And this was that same weekend. So I was scared, that something bad could happen. That night I went to bed, and in the middle of the night I woke up in labor, and so we rushed to the hospital, and they did an ultrasound, and they said she's still breech, emergency C-section, go, and they got all the anesthesiologists and everybody come in trying to get me to sign things, and I was still just like, this wasn't the answer I wanted. If I was going to get a C-section, I would have had it planned and done it last Thursday. Now it was Tuesday morning, about 2 a.m. And I didn't want an emergency one. I would have just had it planned and been peaceful about it, but I hadn't felt peaceful about it. Why is this happening? Why isn't this working? And that's all I could think of is push. And so I was just like, I am not having a C-section. I'm kind of a stubborn person. And so they wheeled me down to the OR in the hallway. I just pushed her out breech, and everything was fine. I was just like, she's out. And the anesthesiologist comes over and was just like, oh, we're going to do your anesthesiology. I'm like, she's out. She's already delivered. And everybody's like, she delivered. And the doctor had to run and come, and her head was still in me because I thought she was all out. So she had to pull her head out and get her breathing, which took a few minutes or a few seconds, I guess. And but everything was fine. She was great, and I was great. I couldn't believe it was over. I was like, okay, I did it. It was just a miraculous ending, and I didn't mean to take that long, but my point was to go with her gut. That's what I felt good about, I guess, was to have the breech delivery. And afterward, the doctor was like, I'm so glad you had that baby breech. I knew you could do it, but I couldn't tell you to do it. I can't tell anyone to deliver a breech baby. We're just taught to do a C-section every time. And so I thought you could do it because you already had 6 kids, but I couldn't tell you that. So sometimes doctors just can't tell you what to do, because of risks, which is obviously very important for their job and everything. And so take what they're saying, but then you can apply it to your own life and change things up if you need to. And I really hope things will go well for you. But pray, especially pray and have God help you, because he's the one that will help you the most of anybody. And he knows way more than even doctors and us about our own bodies. Oh, one more story is kind of the opposite, is when I was about 28 weeks along. It was a Friday and I didn't feel the baby move, and I couldn't remember feeling her move like the past day or two either. So I went to the doctor. I saw the nurse and she did a little Doppler and said she heard the heartbeat and sent me home. But I didn't feel okay about it. I still felt like something might be wrong. And she assured me everything was fine, but I just didn't feel good about that. So all weekend I really worried about it. I prayed, but I did not feel settled or peaceful or anything. I went back to the doctor on Monday and they did an ultrasound, and sure enough, there was no heartbeat. The baby had died. I have that story on my blog about my stillborn birth experience. And I don't fault the doctor for anything, but I was really glad that I listened to my own body and my own feelings instead of just trusted the doctor that everything's fine. And I wouldn't have gone back for, several more weeks until the next appointment. So I'm just illustrating that God gives us our own intuition, especially as mothers and as individuals. We will get that inspiration to know what's wrong or what's right about our own body way more than doctors who have a lot of patience. And I know they do the best they can, so I'm not faulting them at all. So I'm just telling you to trust your own instincts when things might feel right and the doctor might say something might be wrong, or you think something's wrong and the doctor might say it's right, or anything like that. There are a few instances when I did listen to the doctor. Like one time we thought like a baby might have a heart condition, so I was worried. And so we did a few more ultrasounds and tests and things and found out the baby didn't. But I obviously went with the doctor. I wouldn't be like, oh, no problem. I didn't feel that. I felt like listen to the doctor, do what she says. And if there were interventions I needed to do, I would have done them also. So I'm not saying go against the doctor at all, but listen to yourself also if you don't feel comfortable with what doctors say or people. What else? My other good advice is to eat healthy and exercise. So about eating healthy, I would suggest eating real foods as much as you can, like 80% of the time, eating real foods, which are just like one ingredient foods, like an orange, apple, broccoli, a piece of chicken, raw milk if you can, or at least whole milk or unpasteurized milk, the rawest, purest form of the fruits and vegetables and foods that God has made for us. So as close to nature as it came. So like a piece of chicken, especially if you can get it from a farm or free range or organic chicken and not factory farmed, not a chicken nugget, which, has been processed a lot. So try to eat the most natural forms of food as you can, from meats, dairies, nuts. Try to eat them like plain nuts, raw, instead of roasted or salted or ground into a nut butter mixed with jelly. It's got high fructose corn syrup and all of that kind of stuff in it. So try to just eat the fruits and nuts and vegetables and dairy and meat and beans and legumes are all really good for you in the purest form. Just get a bean and cook them in the crock pot, and then you can season them or fix them how you want. Add some meat to them and taco meat or whatever. And just try to eat really healthy and you'll feel really good. You'll have the energy you need. You won't be as sick. You won't be as tired. You won't get the anemic. So that's really important to keep a lot of good iron stores in your body, which is like a lot of meats and beans, combined with like vitamin C products, like some tomatoes. So like chili is really good for you. I have a really good pumpkin chili recipe on my blog that I love to do during pregnancy and especially after delivering a baby, when you've lost a lot of blood. Then that really helps your iron stores and makes you feel really good. It's got lots of fresh fruits and vegetables in it. I mean, I usually freeze them from my garden, but you can just go buy them fresh and make it. Lots of fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables in it, and tomatoes if you call that a fruit. And then the ground beef and beans in it. So that's really healthy. Any kinds of chilies and, you get the picture. So try to eat really healthy. Try not to think of the mentality of like, I'm eating for two, because that doesn't really, you don't really need to eat for two people. I mean, you're not eating for like 200-pound people. So keep that in mind, that your baby's gonna be very small for a long time and it doesn't need a lot of extra calories, but they need to be worth it. They need to be extra good calories, like not 2 pieces of cake, but you can have a really good hearty bowl of chili and then eat a little bit more if you need more than what you used to eat. Try to make every thing you eat count, like make sure it's nutritionally valuable, like it's just packed full of vitamins and minerals, and not so many just granola bars and snacks and treats and chips, extra things that aren't giving any vitamins to your growing baby, and they need the vitamins a lot to grow healthy. Exercise. I believe in exercise during pregnancy. I know some people might not, but I had 10 very successful pregnancies and with no problems at all. I love walking, so that's just easy. Just if you already have children, push the baby in the stroller. Go for walks on greenways if that's easier and usually kind of flatter, or around your neighborhood, or go hiking, whatever. I did lots of hikes, even pregnant, pretty far along, like within 2 or 3 weeks of delivery, I was still hiking. And right after delivery, I went 2 or 3 weeks after having a baby, I could do hikes. But that was me. So if you don't feel comfortable doing that, at least just be walking. Exercise bikes are fantastic. You can not have to have it like hard resistance or anything. You can just have it pretty easy and sit there and read a book or listen to a podcast. It helps you kind of just reset and recharge a little bit. I tried to do it while my kids were like having their quiet time. And I just love to read a book that was, on motherhood or anything uplifting that would make me in a really good mood. I just come off the exercise bike feeling like, wow, that was awesome. Like I read something great and I got some good exercise. I feel good today. And then top it off with lots of good water, whole milk, raw milk, good fruits and vegetables, and you will feel really good. Besides exercising, going for walks and riding my exercise bike every day, then I try to just stay active throughout the day. So, like you're sitting in a chair like this, you can just do some those, whatever they're called. I like to lift weights, especially like your husband comes home and talks to you about his day, just do some easy weights. Just keep moving. Stretch a lot. I think that feels really good. Sometimes I would just kind of sit in some splits, which I can't do the splits, but just like a straddle and read, or like use your computer on the carpet in front of me, just sitting on the ground. That feels really good. Every movement just feels so good, but having good posture, moving, staying kind of active, like grabbing the laundry, just doing things kind of as fast as you can, like nothing jerky or anything, but just keeping your body moving, because sometimes you just feel like sitting so much, like you just feel so blah that you don't want to do anything, but think this is going to make me feel better. This is going to provide a healthy baby and even just feel better for me today. So get up and move a little bit and do things kind of fast, kind of sometimes on my toes, sometimes kind of dancing a little bit, just to keep feeling good. It just gives you good feelings. What else did I want to say? So I covered the food and some exercise, staying active, going with your gut. I guess that's about all. I do have a blog post on it. I might have missed something, and I wrote it several years ago, but I'll put the link in the description. So be for sure and check that out about pregnancy advice. If you have any questions, then email me, marcy@singlemomonafarm.com. I'd love to answer them. I'd also love to do like any kind of coaching calls. I love to help women who are pregnant. So if you want to sign up for a coaching call, you can just email me or sign up on my coaching calendar on my blog. That would be really fun to talk to you and help you through any complications that you're having or any doubts or fears that you have. I can also help with the labors, because I had 10 really easy labors, all under 2 hours. And I want everyone to have really easy labors, no interventions, just simple, easy. And I feel bad for the people who don't. And I want to be able to help more people so that that's a really pleasant experience for you. The recovery can be outstanding also. Back up and around in a couple of days feeling great and feeling energetic, because you deserve to. You deserve to feel great this time when you are becoming a mother and providing so much care for your family. So I think that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.